Sure, okay.
If everybody can turn their microphones on, please.
Got that? We have John Vick and Natalie with us tonight from Fiscal Advisors, and they passed out a packet of information for you, as well as, we have some things on the slide, don't we, Karen? Great. You guys can come closer. if
Is
you'd
this
rather.
where you want to start?
Did you want to go over the actual debt limit and the current status of the?
Is that on the other one?
Yes, I think so. We can pull some chairs up and up so closer before more of a conversation.
Sure. Do you want,
Yeah,
where would you like to
just right in here.
Sure.
Here.
He jumps in. We'll put the gate behind us.
They'll be
We'll
caught,
slide that
they'll
over.
be caught in the crossfire.
Friendly fire, friendly fire.
Dean, behind you or in the center?
Wherever they want, wherever you're comfortable.
Seat right here.
Stage pretty good.
So the first slide, we're first going to go through the district's current debt limit estimations. This is a 10-year projection starting with the current fiscal year 19 and it goes through 2028. It may be a little bit difficult. So starting with 2019, maybe a little bit difficult to see on the screen. At the very top, it shows your fiscal year, and then also the district's 5-year average, the taxable full valuation. And we're using 1,641,271,165, and we're using that throughout the 10-year projection. And in column 19, we calculate the actual debt limit, which is 5% of that calculation. And in the bottom section, right below that, we show the inclusions, which include all of the district's outstanding debt that's currently outstanding. So we have capital projects, and that number is $41,015,000. All of the district's current bus borrowings, $2.2 million. And then the estimated annual bus borrowing. The district typically borrows for serial bus bonds annually. So for 2019, we show total inclusions of $43,807,000. From that point, we deduct the exclusions, which include the appropriations for capital projects, bus borrowings, and then any future bus paydowns. In 2019, we have an estimate of $5.3 million. So that calculates to a total net indebtedness of $38,497,000. And what is available against the district's debt limit is approximately $43,566,000, which equates to a percentage of 46.91%. So that gives you a good overview of the district's debt picture. And then the next 3 pages summarize the district's current bonded indebtedness. So these are all capital projects and bus borrowings. So the total amount outstanding for the fiscal year ending 2019 is shown on the last page. And that is $43,755,213. So we're also including the interest, so principal and interest is shown, so total debt service is $53,283,904.
See, this is all, like, you generate these numbers, you have a formula, and it gets you to that number. It's largely based on the taxable full valuation, right? That's where we get our money. And so you've held that steady, you know, your plan is to hold it steady for 9 years, that
Right.
valuation. What is the typical trend of the evaluation of the taxable? What has been our trend in the past? Or
I don't know the actual percentage. I don't know, Nancy, you would happen to have the increase in full valuation?
I don't have that handy, but I can get that for you.
I'm just curious as to how
When there
impactful
was-
that could be to us. Should it fall off or go up? Right, if the valuation goes up considerably, then we have a little bit more money to work with, a little bit more borrowing power. There's a lot of things.
Well, the
Another-
valuation just went up because of the nuclear power plants being on the tax rolls, as far as Orbis is concerned,
Yep.
because of the new pilot agreement.
Okay.
So this is a good thing for us.
No, I understand that.
No, I'm saying, but that's what impacted that full valuation.
Right.
And another thing to consider is as that changes, your state aid changes along with that, and there's a bit of a delay, but.
I was going
in
to say there's a
general,
2 or 3 year delay in the aid
Yeah.
compared to our assessment. It's my
Right,
understanding.
that is correct.
Yeah.
And for purposes of this chart, we're being conservative. We're saying that there's
So,
no
all right,
increase.
I guess that's my
Right.
question, is that you kept it static.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's static all the way through there, and you're feeling that that is a conservative measure.
Right, exactly.
Right, okay.
Are there any questions as far as the debt limit or the actual indebtedness that's outstanding right now?
And Natalie, do you show how much that we can borrow?
Yes, so for example, in 2019, the actual amount that could be borrowed is $43,560,000.
Okay, so that's the number.
Yes, the net contracting margin.
And is that equated because we're a city school district?
Right, when we're calculating the 5-year average taxable full valuation, we're using these special equalization rates.
Okay,
That applies to city school districts.
thank you.
Pass it over to John to talk about the
So our debt contracting margin is largely impacted by the fall off of our current debt. Is that why so when you go across from 19 to 28, you see that our percentage or our net debt contracting margin increases.
Yes,
The availability for borrowing increases because we have debt falling off.
Yep, and if we move forward, I think it's 2 slides actually. And excellent, yep. Right here. So this first column, this is just a simple chart that illustrates the district's debt service based on all their current capital projects. This doesn't take into account the bus borrowings. But it's the debt related to prior capital projects and the associated building / BOCES aid that offsets that debt. So you can see as the years progress, you're paying off older projects and the aid associated with those projects is also decreasing. The idea is to keep the last column, which is the local share related to each project, relatively level because it plays all sorts of factors in your tax cap calculation, and you don't want to have huge jumps in that year to year. So the idea here was your next big drop is in 24, 25, and we're using roughly $1 million in our projections that you want to keep in your local share with a new project. So if you move on to the next page, that's the number to keep in mind as we go through this and you're designing a new project and want aid that they will pay each particular building. And there's a fairly simple calculation that they do. They take what are called the building aid units associated with each building based on the floor plan and what is actually being done in the building. And then multiply that by the construction cost index, which gives you maximum cost allowances for each building. And this isn't the maximum amount of work that you can do with the building, but it's the maximum amount that has to be paid at any particular time. So, using all that information and the scope that Craig provided, we get to the last page, which is the debt service schedule for the anticipated project. And
Corey, or, I'm sorry, John, can I interrupt you for a minute? So Corey told me that Craig told me that when he gave fiscal advisors the numbers to estimate for these projections, he used the,
There was one, I can't remember which condition, but it had the,
it wasn't the $62 million project that we had originally rolled out. It was the one previously which kept Wilbur, the athletic field where it is. So that's why you see the $57 million cost.
Which, oh, right, okay.
Okay,
That was
so I
about
just-
$56.8
Yeah.
million.
So I just wanted everybody to be clear on what generated these projections.
About 57 million. Got it.
So why are we not using the 62?
We pulled back. Go ahead.
yeah, we originally emailed them and said, let's do like 3 different models, but they had this previous model of $57 million model, so we used, so we were going to use that for discussion time, because we still had to have a discussion on what we want to be included in this project and how you want to structure it for the community to vote on. When we do that, then they'll come back with the final model that we can use in the presentation to the public of what the board moves forward with.
Yeah, and if that additional $5 million is used in any particular way, going back to those maximum cost allowances, if it isn't exactly determined where you want to use it, that kind of implications as far as the projections, we were just using what we know for sure is what the district wanted to do. So if you look at columns 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, sorry, those are your principal and interest payments over the life of the project. So if you get your total debt service in column 5 minus the estimated state aid schedule. And the way we determine that is we looked at the scope Craig provided, looked at the phasing, the timing of the phases, the timing of final cost report submission, which is what generates the state aid. We took the maximum cost allowances into effect, and then we conservatively estimated an aid figure for the entire project. And that gives you, so you take your total debt service minus your state aid, and that gives you the local share for your project. And then in column 8, what we have is that falling off of debt from the prior projects, offsetting the local share. So in reality, this project, because your state aid has increased, your building aid ratio has increased, so this project will have no impact on taxes.
Can you say that again, louder?
This new project,
Here, hold that up for us.
this project will not generate any new tax.
At 57.
At 57, yes. And depending on where that other $5 million is spent, we would have to determine if that's still the case. And again, we do use conservative interest rates and aid estimates, so this is a fairly conservative estimate.
John, can you tell them what you used for our building aid percentage?
Your building aid ratio percentage for 18-19 is 86.8%, which is up, I want to say almost 25% from where it was previously, which is why there's a huge jump in the state aid and why this project has no local share, whereas the last project did.
Maybe I missed that for a second. What was the reason for that increase?
the full
It's-
recognition of the pilot.
That's correct, it's the valuation.
Previously, the state recognized us as a rich community because of the assessed value of the nuclear facility.
Right.
They didn't value the pilot agreement that they had given, right? So if they're assessed at 500 million, but they're only paying tax on 100 million, they didn't value at the state level to recognize our 80%.
So, and
Now
I
they
didn't
do.
realize that that was the case, but, so that literally just happened? I mean, this is
Well,
something we've been
no,
waiting
it
to happen
happened
for
2.5
years, so.
years ago.
Right.
Is when they recognized it.
Right.
There's plenty of people who went down to the state, spoke to it, they recognized it, but it took them almost 2 years to recognize it, assess it, and then make it right.
So
It's
when-
not to say that the formula is fully running, but it has shown, it is starting to show some impact on our state aid, which should continue to improve.
Okay.
Based on, they're using real data now,
Right.
before they had.
Yeah.
So $1.2 billion went back onto our assessed value.
And with these numbers, we have 5.5 million capital reserve.
Yep.
I see you got up there. Is that 5.5 million factored into these numbers?
It is. If you look at column 3, you'll see that the total amount borrowed is $52,076,959.
Yes.
You add the $5.5 million to that, you get the $57 million back. And the idea with the capital reserve is to use those initially as opposed to over the course of the project. Just to-
Can I ask you say that you were conservative in your state aid percentage
Yes.
contribution. What was that number that you?
Well, I
what
took
percent?
the scope of this $57 million project over the phases and compared that to the maximum cost allowances, which we had talked about. And then I multiplied the amount that would technically qualify for aid by 91%. So 9% of this project was automatic, just conservatively estimated for. And it's actually greater than 9%. In total, it's closer to 85. But to factoring in the maximum cost allowances, and then 9% on top of what's already taken off for the maximum cost allowances, it's about 85%.
Okay. So you're comfortable, confident in saying that this 86%
Well,
state aid that we're currently receiving will continue?
the 86.8% is the building aid ratio. So all of the eligible work for aid, the cost of that work is multiplied by 86.8%, and that's the aid that the district gets.
Okay.
So what I did was, for just easy math, $1 million project, $900,000 is eligible for building aid, and multiply that by 86.8%. So
That's how you got here. I got you.
John, do you, and I don't even know if you can answer this, but if we went up to the $62 million, how much would these numbers fluctuate?
it's tough to say without knowing exactly what phase they're going into and what building and what is actually taking place. Because with the maximum cost allowances, it's broken up into a construction maximum cost allowance and an incidental maximum cost allowance. And the incidental maximum cost allowance includes site work. So if you did $5 million of site work at a building that's already over maximum cost allowance, none of that $5 million are paid. So the aid column will change, but the debt service will be good. So without knowing exactly where it's going and what it is,
Year.
and exactly what
What
year
year are
it is.
you doing?
Yep.
When will we see full impact of that? You're saying we're starting to get that now. Is that being just phased in? When do
We didn't expect to see the impact this year, because there's no big memo that says, hey, we're gonna finally give you what your own. But we were pleasantly surprised to see some increase in some aids. We're seeing it here, we saw it in some specific target aids in our state aid rights. But we're not where we need to be, so we think it'll trickle out over the next 2 years and greater.
Are there any other questions about the project and the cost of the taxpayer?
Again, that was 0% for the taxpayers.
Zero change in
Yes.
where it's currently.
No addition.
No addition.
Excuse me, there's also the potential, if the aid increases, hopefully for the next couple of years, that we can even go to a more inclusive plan, like the 62 million, and still have zero.
Well, these numbers are run, these for the purpose of example, based on the project with $57.5 million price tag. And now, if you go back to the conversation about what you would like in the completed scope of the project, they can apply the same calculation to the $62 million, for example, and then we'll see.
Well, that was my suggestion, was
Yeah.
to run the 62 million to see where it's falling out, right? I mean, 'cause
But you
I'm
know,
assuming we're eventually gonna ask that, right?
I don't think there's any sense running any more numbers until we decide what we're going to do. We need to decide what the plan's going to be, because these, that 62 million plan that we're now before, it's probably not 62 million anymore, is it, Jim?
It was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it was 60.19.
Originally,
It was
it's already had its increase.
Yeah.
Okay, so the,
60.5.
wait a minute, let me back up then. So the 62 that you rolled out a few weeks ago was the 60 that you rolled out in the spring?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
That
Yeah.
was
But
the
that's, but the
escalation
clock's
amount.
ticking, you're
The
right.
escalation on the one we went up to.
That's the deal.
But when we started shaving it off, that's when we got to 57.6.
That being said, then I think that's, if the board needs to decide if that's the plan they're gonna go with, and then let them run the numbers. No sense running a number until we decide what we're gonna do.
Agreed.
That leads
Then
us
make
to-
our decision and
leads us
move
to
on.
you, Greg.
I know, which plan.
So what do we get?
So we have to
What do
look
we
at
get?
the plans that
Well,
we
what is
have.
one, Cory? What I would suggest is we can go back with fiscal and review the now escalated $60 million scheme and break those components up, because there were some things that were unequal, like the build out of the bleacher seating for bathrooms, concessions, locker rooms, and those things. So that will equate a little bit differently to that calculation, but it will also maybe absorb some of the costs of the positive features of it. So you get another evaluation. So why don't we start with that? We'll rifle that through. And I think we're really,
I think what I'm hearing is, I don't know that this full board is deciding which plan they want, they feel comfortable going out with. So I think you need to have some conversation with that before you apply that formula to anything else.
okay.
I'd like to
Just
look
slide into
at
that
what
conversation.
you've pulled back.
In
To
this, in the scheme at the 57,
In the 57 versus what the 62 includes.
the difference between this one, the original scheme and this one is a reconstruction of Wilbur Field into the multi-purpose field with new bleachers, a 3-lane track. It was one of the earlier schemes that we presented. And it also takes into consideration reconstruction of the baseball field by Lakeland to bring it back to increase the depth of the field. And then everything else was general site reconstruction that's basically required by the building condition surveys for improvements to drainage, field inlay, watering,
Buff Boulevard,
Buck Boulevard,
Liberty Street parking,
all those
and all the buildings.
So that was all part of that 5 million that you pulled back, yes?
The bigger part of that was the other location and the fit out that was going on.
Yeah, we wouldn't know that.
And
Relocating
two artificial turf.
I was gonna say there was
When
2
we
other
redo it,
turf.
we want
Baseball,
to-
Right.
We took the free turf down.
Down to 1, is that the
It's hard to
multi-purpose?
remember because
Or is, yeah.
Right. Well, the first one, that's not, you're not talking about the first one that you showed us, the second meeting, I mean, we've gotten so many.
The second meeting,
The second meeting, you gave us 2
Complicated
additional
it a
ones
little.
where there
Yeah.
was, then the field was where, yeah, the 2 softball fields were back on a diagonal in one of them.
Yeah, softball state.
This is the 57.
So the $57 million scaled back plan did a total redo of the multipurpose field on the existing footprint for Wilbur, including all the drainage and everything we required underneath the turf field, new bleachers. It included a redo of the softball areas that in their current location, a redo of the baseball, and all the original site work, including tennis, additional parking, Buck Boulevard, the practice field, the Liberty Street parking lot, and all the building work.
And only one field.
Correct.
Craig, is this to scale? Or is this like right now, like your soccer game going on this
I know.
now?
Corey,
Will it fit soccer?
Corey, the practice fields, what are the size of those? I can't read. They're like 280 by 200, I think.
Like the one that's over on Charles Street, like we play soccer games on the down, it looks really small.
Yeah, that one's small, that's
So we would only potentially be able to play games on this.
right above the track.
But I'm saying like at any given time, like we only have one full field for field sports when you
Except
have.
now you have one overlaid on baseball.
Overlaid on baseball. But if this is used for marching band and football,
It would be used for soccer.
Because, I mean, you got,
Soccer and lacrosse.
yeah.
Soccer and lacrosse. Boys marching bands at night.
for soccer?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, Corey. The size of that for soccer and lacrosse, because there's a 3-lane track that's on there. Limit ourselves in performing tournaments or doing anything like that.
It's shown as a 225 by 360 soccer field, but it has about a 1-foot corner kick from the edge of pavement. So it's not ideal.
It's
by
not-
any means. But that's to get the largest size soccer field in there. You could cut it down to 225 by 330 to get more of a corner kick. You could cut it down to 220, 210. Right.
And that would be acceptable in a tournament kind of fashion, that flies? Yeah, I know, that's what I'm
It
asking.
is. The only difference is it desirable?
Yeah.
There's a lot of other turf fields for doing sectionals and everything.
Right.
Where it's a wider sided field, where they'll have a better chance of.
We're pretty much landlocked over there.
Well,
So,
the choice we have is the 3-lane. I mean, that's the deal.
or would you have enough room if it was moved to the original plan?
Yeah.
Which original?
The original plan where it was
Hillside.
over
Behind
on,
High
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was a,
Yeah,
that
there's
was
a-
showing a 225 by 360 with a 15-foot overplay. So that was your ideal.
so the only thing that you're losing then is the track,
Well, no,
unless you kept.
in this plan, we have the track, we have the 3-lane track.
No, right, but that was if you kept Wilbur where it was and did a turf foot, or athletic, all multi-purpose field over on,
Behind high school.
behind high school.
With two softball fields.
No, we
So
still,
that would
that's-
accommodate football, soccer, and lacrosse.
Right.
And marching band.
Yes.
no, we wouldn't lose the
On
track
Wilbur,
with that.
right. But there's still a 3-lane track on there, and I think that's what's tightening.
It is.
Right.
We're expanding the
So-
baseball, but that's not what's crowding Charles Street. It's the track. It's pushing everything over.
Right. That's, and so we have 2 criteria. That's Rhonda here?
Just going back and
Then,
forth.
So we have 2 criteria. Right? So we have a 3-lane track that we're putting there as more pedestrian and community friendly kind of scenario. I understand. But for the larger plan, they can walk on grass too. It's a couple of homes, they can walk around. And so it would accommodate us in our baseball field to be legal in size and depth. And it would accommodate, well, you end up with being able to perform all the actions for any sectional event in the space, right? It makes sense.
Are you talking about the gym moving it?
I'm saying,
Keeping
take
it
those
where
3
it-
lanes away, just take the 3 lanes
take
away.
the track
If you
out.
just
Oh, take
the
the track out.
Yeah, take the track out. I'm not moving, no.
There was one version of that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
it was not defined as football as multi-purpose use.
Right,
Yeah, with
no
no track.
bleachers, so that it was very versatile, you know, to allow the multi-purpose. And I think if we wanted to do a walking path, if you wanted to do, we could do a walking path through and around or whatever. I think that would be enough.
No, the question is, when we're talking about LeBron, that's using AD was a good
Yeah, I want her anyway. I mean,
Are you going, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Without-
Cross country. Because there was, no, so there you have it. It would keep them separate. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's it. Yep. Without that, I think this was still practice. You're right, because we didn't have a parking. Right, because that stayed, so that's right. Right. Well, this makes sense to me because it's the right size soccer, lacrosse, and baseball fields to form tournaments, sections. Well, okay, I get it, but I mean, if that gets us to that point, then I think that's the most important. Rhonda to say something. I don't know. I mean,
I think they're just looking at this up, different plans.
They have an additional parking here, we have the softball fields here, baseball field, and then just I don't know if this is the one that they were talking about without the track, is this one? This is the one that they.
well. That's exactly right.
That's why we gotta decide what
Fair,
the
what
hell
we give, you know, and what our needs are. That's what I want.
And,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, sure.
No, sorry.
I think we should have facilities.
And of these ones.
Yeah, that's what this is. But
I just don't think so. We got one.
I'd say 2-lane track, right? If you don't have that,
It's not a utilized track.
it's not, you can't
I
use
take
this
the
track
track,
for
I
anything.
take the track out, put a track.
Well, this is the deal, right? If you want to have a soccer / lacrosse multi-purpose field, but it isn't perfect for lacrosse. It's perfect for lacrosse. It isn't perfect for a track.
Maybe too small like the
It
other
isn't
one.
perfect because of the push on it, we have the baseball, the show nice speed. All of that for a 3-lane track. You take away the track, and you get, I know we're going to form from the tournaments and the sections. So we'll try to get this. It's our baseball field, another 30 feet, but allowing them to meet the regulations when it's supposed to be.
And there's a field over that too.
Exactly. And so we're going to give up a 3-lane track, that's what we're giving up.
You still make the move based on the side of
Does not say any additional residential.
Right,
You're
because
just,
you don't
because
get
where you're
rid of
putting
flags.
your 2 fields in, they're over what it means.
No, this is, no.
I think what Brandon was saying is if we go with the original plan, which is the new one they purchased,
Yes, yeah.
we end up with 3 fields.
Show me a picture of the 58
Yeah, what was
million.
this right here?
Show me a picture of what, of 58 million. Okay, so that's where we're starting, right? So, there's no multi-purpose field except for here, this is the turf. So if we take away these 3 lanes around it, and it does a couple of things, one, it creates the field that we can perform soccer, lacrosse, and sectional
So
turf.
this is not the
It is
regulation
not,
size for soccer, the
because
way
you,
that it is.
because you won't be able to turf to kick the corner. You'll be out in the lanes. Yeah, he says 225 by 360. There he is.
So this, where this line is, that's the size of a regulation soccer. So for a corner kick or a throw in, I think they're on the track.
Right, so to host the sectionals after, to do those things that, so you say, okay, how much is a 3-lane track worth to me, right? And I say, it's worth to make the fields correct. So to be able to host events, to make these 1 here. What that does is by taking a minute, we need come back. Creates that a little bit deeper, right? It doesn't get split or
Sorry, they're wondering. Yeah, I know. I think this what it's supposed to be is a mind melt, right? Yeah. Right. Right. Me too. Yeah.
That would be like this here.
You could fit in 2 soccer fields there. We can do it.
Yeah.
So if you did similar to what that sketch is showing, we can do a walk around it. So that way you can still have it marked up for the public use. It does not need to be resilient surface, track, anything like that. It just needs to be a walking path.
So this is okay. So then put this, the turf here, and then put these 2 here.
And we do a walk, and you'd have a walkway around here. You'd have a walkway around it, which you want anyways for PDA, if you want to be able to get everybody to the center of the field.
And these 2 are both regulation soccer.
Yeah, one is 225 by 360, and the other one is 225 by 330. So one is the largest length, and the other one is the shortest. But they're still both regulation.
What's the number on this one?
I don't think we ran that one. I mean, it's got 2 less.
Yes. Rhonda, please. Rhonda, go on up.
We have a mic for you.
Oh, boy. I used to be phys ed, so I could project my voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there wasn't
This-
a track in the middle for both.
That's the one.
Is this 62
The one that went
million
out
today?
low was this scenario right there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But it was
I'm in a
a
track
redo.
around. Yeah.
It wasn't on the second purpose.
Correct.
Yes.
So basically, we have the same amount here, same amount here. Corey, I don't know if we're.
Oh, okay.
Would this be still close to the
Play by play.
No, that'd be a little less because you got rid of the track. I'd say that. Right, so I'd say that'd be very close.
But this is more expensive to do this over here because there's not as much able money.
No, no matter where I've got, you know, where the turf is going.
Is that accurate? This is close, this is 58.
I would say that's going to be,
That's right there.
because you don't, this was 62.
With that correct.
Okay.
And the track.
Okay, so what's happening right now is the board is up here, they're reviewing plans that we've had before. We're taking a look at the review and changing, going through and seeing what's happening. Thank you. So basically they are, look at the other plans that we saw the last time and reviewing those and seeing about possibilities. Is there a chance we can open this up to everybody? I know, but there's so many more of them than us.
Intimidating.
Exactly.
Because when we talked about this one, correct.
So we're looking,
So my
go ahead.
concern with this one,
Turn it right on at the top. Get a little click.
There we go. Okay, my concern with this one was that we don't have enough field space to accommodate JV, soccer boys and girls, and football, or whatever in any given season.
And by that one, you're referring
And
to
this
the very
right,
first
so
one that was
that's
put
why I
out.
was asking the questions of how can we fit more fields into space, green space, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So then we talked about this one. So now this would be the turf field right behind the high school. Then we would have these two regulation fields.
Which these two, it's 225 by 360.
Yep.
225 by 330.
Okay.
So it works for any of the sports.
Right, as well as marching band.
Correct.
And then this spot here also would be usable space.
Okay.
and space behind the baseball.
Perfect.
And then softball.
Okay.
And this only would be turf, is that correct?
Correct. That, yes.
Got it.
And this comes, this field, so this one is the 50, or this one is the 58, which is the lower of the two.
Okay.
This will be somewhere close to the 58, keeping this.
Okay.
And adding
Correct,
this,
and
the
adding these
extra
two.
fields.
Adding those to it. Okay.
Versus the 62 that's here.
How do we feel about one turf field versus?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. If this is really the key, is the softball where you have 2 fields currently.
Right, right.
You're giving up the softball.
Correct.
Correct. I'm-
Is turf aidable, or that would be out of our conference?
No, it's all
Turf is aidable?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think?
No, it's a good
Because, I mean, you go there and you know
The
where.
turf is a needed space because it also then expands your instructional space. There's a lot of instruction that actually goes on in turf field, whether it's science and they want to launch rockets or various different things. That's a really good instructional space as long as using it then after school for
I just think
athletics.
it's important for the public to know that it is also aidable.
Yes, yes. It's
They
very,
just
very
should know.
important.
It's very important
Yep.
to know that.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want to be short-sighted. I mean, this is a lot of money and a big project. I just want
Correct.
to make sure we
And
really think
this
everything
plan
through.
still does include, my question is, does this plan still include the overhaul that is needed for the middle school?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
well,
All right.
took that off
Yes,
the
'cause I do
All the
know
other
that
building work is the same.
Okay,
Okay, and then, so my other question is, in the original one that went up the road had the more elaborate structure underneath the bleachers. This one here does not have that? Oh, this does too. Okay. So concession stands,
It's all enclosed underneath the concessions, lockers, and
locker
restrooms.
rooms, the whole.
Oh, I
And
didn't
then we're
understand
still,
that.
and then the locker rooms here are still not the table.
Yeah, that's part of the
For
building.
basketball.
and then my only other question is, the 2 fields that we have that are on this, would they be lit? Would there be lighting? Are these lit, the 2 fields?
Yes.
They would be lit?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
We'd like the whole campus up.
Copy. Thank you very much for that.
And I know the other thing that we brought up, fencing, that's.
Yes, that's-
Fencing would all new fencing.
Yes.
This was the 62. This is correct.
I like this, I like the bleachers on this side, because otherwise you're looking in the sun,
Correct.
so that's.
Yeah, and it's very nice because you have
The
the
other one, the
storage,
bleachers were on
you
this
have
side.
bathrooms, and you have space underneath there, so which is really nice.
But the key to this, do we get what we want out of our baseball tournament sectional? Do we get that added depth there?
It's pulled back, it's
I
the
was gonna
same,
say.
it's the same as what was before when it would be synthetic turf. It's just natural grass now. So it's the same outfield changes.
We added some of
So that's good. And then we hit all the marks on the new multi-purpose, that's gonna do every, yeah. Well, that's the, this is our original plan.
Don't you all wish you could see this?
Correct.
But all 3 of these are
That's the
regulations.
original 52, right?
No, this is
Well, that's
58.
the season.
Exactly. That's the,
And there was more baseball.
and no track.
And this one's 58.
No, this one's 58.
I like those.
Right.
Roughly.
One number.
No, we're making a deal tonight.
Ron, did you say?
Is there still going to be, so, for example, you'll have the bathrooms that are underneath the bleacher system, which is great. But will there be some form of bathrooms and, scoreboard or any kind of a portable scoreboard that we could utilize for those two spaces, but there's also bleachers? Because when we talk about
It's got scoreboard would be in the price.
okay.
And
For these
what,
fields too.
right, what I would do is a back-to-back one, so it's the
Oh,
same
great,
structure.
okay, yep.
and
We
it's
talked about those
back-to-back.
portable bleacher units, right?
And portable bleachers, they're like
And remember, all the site
100
work for the
seat.
locker rooms.
It's part of the.
It's all part of Lincoln's
Great,
building one.
okay, well, that's perfect.
I like the original.
Yeah.
It's not affordable. Take
So
this.
could we add a walking trail and see what that would be?
Yeah, actually, I'm already showing a walk coming out to here.
Right?
What I've got in circulation to go into that garage is required. It's just you couldn't really see it at that scale that well. Yeah, it's got circulation.
Because when we did it right over here, that's where that walking trail started before. You had that where it was marked
Right,
off
and then it
different-
went all the way through.
Yeah.
Couldn't we do something like that? I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't seem like it'd be a lot of money.
We could
Just
make
because
that
we're
work.
taking the track away to
Right.
give community members something
Yeah, I
to.
mean, I have a,
Say, we're okay with losing softball?
yeah, we will be fine, we'll make sure, because how we do it now is that we go home away, and we already have a relationship with the city, so they're looking at maybe we could utilize right that which is not utilized right now.
That is correct.
And having that as the modified
Yep.
location, so that we would still be utilizing, keeping that relationship with the city, but we have to go in that direction. And then we could get our modified programs to these fields, because the season is shorter, they overlap a little bit, but their season goes longer than varsity and JV, so that we can get them backfilled into our, that basically.
So then that works. So even,
This can't fit another softball field?
no,
This area?
no, we looked at that one. But even the two
Oh, that's
softball
right,
fields that we currently have, you can't have two games right now playing against one another legally, right?
Well, you
It's-
can do
it's not
a
big enough.
modified and you can do a varsity,
That's
but
the
you wanna
difference.
have it where you are pretty much, they overlap a little bit. So the varsity, we
Right.
started out of the gate, and then you do modified, where you're not looking at having a JV and a varsity, or where the ball could potentially go in each.
Right.
Athlete. Like we want to say that.
But it wouldn't matter.
What I'm saying is that there's conditions, that's what I'm saying, is that we're not losing a lot that way.
But it makes it equal then too, because when you look at the baseball, when you look at the softball, we still would have a modified program.
Space is wide
Oh,
open.
it's Jamie's home, versus their vice versa, so it would be, they would mirror each other for baseball and softball.
That was the original Big Bang.
Yeah, when they're talking about, give up all the stuff to the original.
So let's say it might be 60.
Well, that's why I asked her the question about that.
How important is it?
Okay, going with that show. So you get all the fields in shorter.
So we're really just on the one that you look at.
So you're still gonna have to roll over the shoulder. You get the parking, you want additional parking. Like the rich get the under, the bleachers under the.
Get everything.
blockers, get everything.
You're just missing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Missing turf and
I'm just
trash.
reminding me that.
We don't have a name for it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't think we
I
did.
don't have an opinion on that, just putting it
Well, I mean, I guess the only thing I would think about with doing multiple fields turf at the same time is that means whatever the life of turf is, we're gonna be replacing that many fields of turf 10 years down the road or whatever, so that's
Like what happened in Central Square, is that people think they're doing some good thing and get on the field and start
Oh,
to
yeah.
plow it or whatever, that ends up being an issue. So really, if you look at all the other schools that are around us, very few have multi-turf facilities.
Right.
You're a very large school, or you're a JUCO, or anything along those lines like that. Very, very few public school districts have great, ground schools as well. So they keep our facilities.
Yes, this is 225 by 360.
what if we did just the main field turf?
Right, okay.
And then the softball, baseball, and leave the other two
Yes, for summer.
The other two were the current local fields. Would that not cost a lot? I mean, adding.
330 is the minimum for summer.
Baseball and
maximum.
So I mean, really, like thinking big picture, does that make more sense?
What I would probably do
As
is
far as length of season and games and all that, to say, let's do baseball,
what I'd probably do is just have
all the other prices, those are just.
That'd be good.
Thanks. Can I make a suggestion? Can we bring it back to one meeting and just let everybody know what it was that we were doing? Okay? Because basically, and still finding out, looking at the 3 plans that were brought in, last meeting that we had, and we had the original 62 million, or which started at 60 million but was projected at 62 million, and then we looked at the other one that was around 58 million, was a lesser one, doesn't include parking, and then right in the middle, we found the plan that seems to be almost Goldilocks, right? That's looking in the middle, that has 2 fields where Wilbur Field is now, but acceptable enough to handle region or sectionals and large enough. And then also with the other field over here. So we can put this one out for those who would like to see it and, do it. But I just wanted to do it so that you guys know what we're doing. Call me.
Perfect.
All right?
Perfect.
I wanted to know Jim, what were you saying about, was it this drawing that you were saying that somebody was going to be like up to the back? Or was that a different?
We had a concern previously with the baseball field that it was 20 or 30 feet short, as it is today, right? And what they've designed, that's what I was asking Corey, if that design pulled the field back closer to the inside corner of Lake School over here. It is. So then that meets the minimum standards that we would have to have a legal baseball field.
And what we've got in there would be a full, it's a monstrous backstop. It's 42 foot high with a hood to it, but
because it's right
basically
now.
protect as many stray as we can.
Right.
So that gets us that legal space for any tournament, sectional kind of stuff that would happen. We could post that, and then it does the same thing with purpose field for lacrosse, soccer, football.
Okay. I was just trying to listen to different conversations that were going on. And Amy, you said that you wanted to see the walking path?
Right. Well, I just think because I think it's a good thing for the community, the fact that we have the track right now. They use it all the time. And like the elementary track meet, I know that the elementary school, the high school, I know it's used a lot. So if we're taking it off the table, I think that we have to really think about what we're going to offer in place of the current track. So
walking paths are very popular now, especially if they're looking at going away and having one nice facility that's going to house all the track events. So we would then just make sure that we bus then the elementary students to the middle school and utilize that track. But a lot of the places now, especially within the city limits, are really going to those walking paths because people are enjoying that. And then you just do every quarter mile, you do a marker so that people know what they've done. Even though a lot of people have fitness watches.
And Ron, would that be suitable for the high school PE for their mile run?
Yes, yep. They actually would like that now. A lot of the schools are going in that direction just because going around 4 laps or something is not great. And when I used to teach years ago at CNS, when they just started to get the Bragdon complex, we actually would use the actual field space out there like a walking path and have phys ed teachers on the corner so that we could talk to the students and tell them how much longer that they had versus going 4 laps around a track, which can kind of get redundant. It doesn't help kids with pace either.
And we have had the elementary track meet at the middle school before, for a few years, and I don't remember why, but it was during my time at Minetto. We had the elementary track meet at the middle school. It was nice.
I think
And the facility will be better when we're done with
And
the
that would
project.
only be busing one more school, because all of them get bused here.
That's right.
It would just be busing
Right.
late
That's
along with the rest.
It's also kind of a nice way for those kids to see the school that they're gonna be attending with either that next year or the next couple of years, because it's usually fourth, fifth, and sixth
Yeah,
graders
that's a
that
good
attend the track.
So Kathleen, the other thing that I brought up was the initial one that we looked at, the first one, that we only had, what was it, 2 fields that were regulation size for soccer or lacrosse. So that one there offers a lot more field space so that we can accommodate 2 JV teams, 2 varsity teams, a football team, because it's really busy right now this time of the year.
We would actually have 4 usable fields.
So that's the plus of it.
And that space is so versatile. I mean, you have the multi-purpose field, but you have the space where Wilbur Field is right now, that is just, I mean, it's wide open. You can break it off with cones. You could teach probably 4 or 5 different classes. There's a number of different things I think you can.
And I think the other thing too, I don't know if you heard him say, that all of those fields are lit. So if it's an evening game, they're lit, and there are scoreboards as well, so.
So is the board comfortable with having Craig reach out to fiscal now and to run the formula and pricing on that option?
Yeah, I have a question why, I mean, does it cost us every time we run the numbers or no?
No.
No.
So I would, why don't we just price out this one, price out that one, and then look at, go back to what fiscal showed us for our numbers and let our budget dictate, you know what I mean, as opposed to working
Right.
that way.
We've got some information now. We know that 58 million is zero impact. That's what we know.
So let's be clear, which 2 do you want them?
57, 8.
There's a difference in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 57, 8.
So 57.8, it's not
Right.
58 million.
Are these labeled, or do they have a name so we know which ones it were?
Yeah, can we?
I think one of the things that we're looking at too, when we talk through this, is we would like the number on that, the 60, to find out, to see if there is zero impact as well.
Right.
Because if you can get more at 60 and have zero impact, you want the more at
That's
60.
crazy not.
Right.
Totally agree.
So I say the
But I also
original.
think you need to remember, you also need to start talking about the building work. That really is the
Well,
bigger picture.
So,
Nothing's been
So
changed.
once you get the decision and then you know where your impact is.
So one of the conversations that Dean and I just had, just standing up here, is a lot of what we're spending a lot of time on is very minimal to what is going to be done across the district.
But it's
It might-
probably what failed your prior.
Absolutely,
capital
there's no doubt in my
project.
mind. There's, we
Yeah.
maybe didn't roll it out the right way, right? We learned, because we didn't know. We thought that this was something that maybe was exciting to the community. It was whatever the case may be. We just thought, I wouldn't even present it again. If somebody asked where it is, well, it's there. We made some changes to it,
Yeah, you don't
but our
have-
focus is on the city, or is on the other, excuse me, is on the
Show
buildings.
those pictures.
Right.
The windows leaking, the
Yeah.
mold growing, that's what you need to show.
This doesn't need to, in my opinion, need to come up again. We decide on which way it goes. If it's zero impact, you move on, and it's not hiding it. It's being transparent to the fact that our focus is on the buildings and not necessarily on the fields.
I'm not in sports, I don't know, and I appreciate like quality and like facilities. I just want to know, is this a reflection to the amount of people that are enrolled in the sports? I teach in the elementary, so we don't see a lot of that. I don't know a lot about the sports participation. I want to get more into that, but is this project in reflection to an increase in enrollment, or is there a steady enrollment for these sports happening right now too?
I think that's a lot like what I'm brought on into. I mean, I know a lot of the questions that I personally asked were to her directly because of exactly what you just said. I mean, we have to make sure that what we're doing is fitting the needs for who we are today and what projection trends are for the future. So I think that's a good question, but I think that we have done that. I think we are doing that.
But I think the actions that we're taking for the capital project are specific to the lack of maintenance that we've had previously, not just about a field, but about our buildings and our windows and our doors and our roofs and our driveways and our parking lots and the curbs. and the signage and the lights and a field, right? And so today's method of repairing or updating a field is a little bit different than it was 40 years ago when we did it last. And so turf is an option, and it's something that we're trying to figure out, you know, as to what, but the enrollment has gone up so far, at least the last conversation we had.
Yeah.
Huge in the, huge in the sports world. Yeah.
But I mean, for the schools, I mean, we've gone down dramatically.
Our pupil count is different than his question is about sports.
Right.
Our previous capital projects have always been driven by the priority items in our building condition survey. Never before did we get to a point where the improvement, our athletics were always good enough. So we never they never rose to the top of that pile, so that we were at a place where we really felt comfortable with bringing them out and tagging them onto another capital project. We've been doing capital projects in Oswego for decades. We had a major capital project in 2010, we did one in 2012, we did window project in 2001. I mean, we're always doing capital projects, but over the years, other districts were doing capital projects that included significant site work, and that included improvements that were state-of-the-art and were the industry standard around athletics, and we simply didn't. And we want that for our kids too. But the focus is, and still has been, and you'll notice that we haven't revisited the work to buildings, because we all agree that the building work is the priority.
The other thing, Nick, because at the last capital project meeting, Jim, when I was talking to you, the breakdown of what this whole project, what these fields entail, the cost of that, what's just the cost of the fields? Because I know we spent a lot of time on the fields just now, but it's really not the biggest part of the
If it was
cost.
previously a $60 million pitch that went out for a capital project, I believe the impact to that $60 million was somewhere around 14 million. Does that sound right? For all of the infrastructure and fields, right? So the site work, it was bundled together with the road, the curb, the parking lot, the signage, tennis. It's all so to pull the fields out, it was down somewhere around the 4 to 5 million, just the fields. Yeah. Does that sound about right? So that's part.
I'm all for like understanding. I just want to understand. Like I don't oppose like improving the fields. I don't get that impression. This is a lot of money for us too, and I appreciate going into it and deep level too. We need to fix it. It needs to happen.
Yeah.
Well,
And our athletic numbers are up.
That's right.
Yeah, even just from last year, this is my second year, they're up quite a bit, which is a good problem to have. You know what I mean? So,
But I mean,
you know,
to
there's
the
quite a few
point
kids.
of everything that I think we were talking about and things that we learned from the previous one, I mean, your question pretty much hits the nail on the head. Here you are employed in the district and you don't have the answer to that question. So if you don't, and this is not your fault at all, I'm just making the point of this, that if employees of the school district don't necessarily know what we're doing, how would a general person in the community know what we're doing and therefore after that buy into doing all this? So I think that's an awesome question, and I think it's things that need to be put out to the community and to the people in our district so people clearly understand all of these things. I think when people saw that big number, they're like, what the heck? That's how much these fields cost? Like, no way. So
Right,
I
exactly
think that
they saw $60
that was their
million
perception.
football field.
Yeah, that's what it was. So I mean,
And it doesn't mean that they didn't hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
It means they heard what they were scared by the big number. That's what they were
Now that
hearing.
I hear what's going on between the field and the schools, I'm more apt to feel like, hey, what's going on?
right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Spread the word.
Okay, the lines on the field for the football field, if it's turf, are you locked into football only on that, or?
The black lines were representative of the marching, they have black, gold, and white outlays. And the square or rectangle that's in the back of the baseball field is representative as a secondary practice field for the marching band.
But for the
spaces.
turf.
Yeah, but for the turf field, if we didn't play football in the future, if we went down to an 8 or 11 man, can those lines be redrawn to accommodate that or accommodate a soccer field
up until when it'll have soccer field markings on it.
It will have soccer.
Yeah, it's got.
We'll have soccer, we're gonna have lacrosse, it's gonna have,
You choose whether you want men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, or if you want to go with the new unified markings. So yeah, it'll have all those.
Marching band needs to.
But can I ask, I mean, is it gonna be super confusing? Because like there's one of, which gym is it that there's lines everywhere and it's just crazy? It's, what building is it? I don't even know if it's the high school.
We can show you
or-
some examples of multi-purpose fields where they have multiple sports being utilized on. Baldwinsville is a perfect example of that. And the way the lines are, you can see them. They're not, crazy.
Okay, because I think it's at the high
Overlay.
school, isn't it the old gym or maybe it's the new gym? The lines in there, there's so many different
There
lines
is.
for.
it's the old gym, but it's set up,
Basketball.
yeah, it's set up for like pickleball, it's set up for
Yeah,
basketball, it's set up for
Which
badminton.
we don't need all that, but like,
No.
a couple extra lines, it's a price.
Yeah, done.
We'll put them all on the field for lacrosse, soccer, football, band, whatever it is. So that, it may be.
And there are other markings, I think, sometimes that indicate those during the games.
Yeah.
I mean, because
It's not as confusing on an actual field, even though it seems like it might be. Actual gymnasium is gonna be more confusing because of volleyball, basketball, badminton, pickleball, they all have different lines. And then if it's singles or if it's doubles for badminton, there's different lines. It's like an actual art and science itself, so, but I can teach it to you if you want. But I can't, seriously. But anyways, it is. It's, when you walk into a gym, it can be very intimidating because of all the lines, and a lot of it is there for physical education units.
In a gym, it's like 6 inches difference.
Correct.
Out on the field, it's gonna be a yard, 2 yards different from one to the other.
And it's not unheard of to go out and paint, chalk out. Not paint, sorry. Chalk out, permanent chalk. Additional lines and things like that if they were needed for some other function. I've seen it happen. Not paint. Straight up in the record.
Also, just a question on the maintenance of turf. I mean, if like this one only has one turf field, what's the maintenance involved every year? And
Every year, you're gonna be grooming it about twice a year, once typically in the fall and one in the spring. You brush it weekly, similar to like mowing the lawn. It's just a heck of a lot quicker. It's just a brush that comes up and down. It just distributes the weight. There's a tow behind magnet bar, which as you're brushing it and grooming, it'll just pick up anything that is in the field. Bobby pins are a huge one. Soccer spikes are a big one. They come off the cleats. You're picking up stuff like that that's just kind of left in the field. Some schools that I've worked with, I've gotten actually what they've used for their maintenance on the field. One school in 2009, they spent a total of $1,500 on the field, and that included man hours to do all the grooming and everything. Another school spent $7,500. Another school spent $20,000 because they didn't have a lot of the markings permanently, and they painted them. So the average cost that most school districts tell me is they spend anywhere from about $6,000 to $8,000 a year, and that's brushing it, grooming it.
That's just labor costs, is what you're, because.
It's pretty much just labor. Sometimes they'll go out.
I think he has all the equipment that we would need built into the cost of the field.
Right.
So that comes with it. It's just the labor.
Correct.
And what type of turf field is this?
You got, so there's.
Artificial.
There you go.
No more questions.
There are a variety of manufacturers available.
Right, is it the one with the beads underneath it? The little.
They are all, that's the
They all,
filament.
the little rubber and sand particles?
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
and how long will this last?
Currently, the warranties are 12 years, life expectancies are 12 to 15.
And then to replace it, what's the cost? to replace it?
It's pretty steady at about $650,000. So a lot of times what schools will do is they'll set up, they can set up like a reserve fund that's set aside for, athletics. And that would be a good way to kind of put into it a little bit every year.
My guess is in 15 years, it'll be $1 million.
Correct, and right now, the replacements are 8 of them, if they make them to 15 years. If they make it to 12, then it's a prorated replacement cost.
We'll make it.
As long as it's a capital project.
And I've got fields right now that are 15, 16 years old that are, so they do make them, it depends on how well you maintain.
So Craig, are you clear on the two pricings that we want? The two applications to Fiscal's work?
Well, let me see, I'll regurgitate it back and see.
Okay.
This one, Goldilocks.
Yes.
Yes. And then Pop-Up Air, the original.
Exactly, those two. Yes.
Yeah, Mama Bear's gonna take a nap.
Should.
Yeah.
Yep. 4 inches, just.
We all agree with it? Good. Time film.
So
If I forget, I'm playing it
it was
back.
the original one,
The original, and the one they all just settled on.
the one they just, okay.
Which gives us 4 fields.
Yeah.
And the reason we're rerunning that is, and the reason that we're rerunning what was originally 60 million, that is today approximately 62, is because of our position with the state has gotten that much better that we most find. So this is what we want.
We may come in with zeros.
Can I ask, on the turf aspect of things, can I ask on the turf aspect, we're going at into durability and those are the reasons we're looking at it. My only question is, has the research that's been done regarding turf fields, carcinogenics, has that been considered in this manufacturer?
That's a whole new ballgame. All right, so
I hate to do it, but I think it's something we have to look at, because I know in Seattle, or in Pacific Northwest, they've changed out of turf fields and gone back to natural grass.
Yes. They, so in additional studies that were done by FIFA, for example, they actually tested goalie gloves, the balls, cleats, everything else that those athletes are exposed to, and they found out that there was more carcinogenic aspects to those than there was to the artificial turf. I've got a binder, it's about 4.5 inches high, filled with study reports on SBR rubber, dealing with everything from MRSA, staph infections, lead, heavy metals. I've got a report from orthodontics. I've got air quality testing reports. There's a lot of back and forth on it. The test studies that I've seen that are actually legitimate, published into peer-reviewed articles. New York City Department of Parks, the Department of Environmental Protection, Connecticut Department of Environmental Conservation, Washington State, they've all said that they're fine to play on. You would, if I remember correctly, and I haven't had to say this fact in a while, but I believe it was a 100-pound child would have to eat 50 pounds of infill for there to be trace amounts of toxicity in their system. It was something crazy like that, where your kids should not be out there grazing on a plastic field.
But you know the reason I'm asking.
I do.
I know there's whole areas that have outlawed them basically because of the incidence of cancer in particularly goalies.
Yep, and I've got a turf presentation that I put together. It takes about an hour to go through it. And it deals with all those aspects, and sometimes I'll be asked to do that, like during pre-referendum. How you have your public hearings and everything. Sometimes we'll do a special one for synthetic turf, and I can show the different infills, the different systems, go through that presentation, so that way anyone in the community that may have issues, I can certainly talk to them as a group, and then I can address any one-on-one questions that they may have. So that's something I'm definitely willing to do. I just need to plan it, and I'll be there.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we good? How long do you think Fiscal needs for this? 'Cause obviously we're pushing. Can we do 2 weeks again? let's see. We have a board meeting on the 18th, so can we do the 20? No, well, I won't be available, but the 25th would be the next date. I'm the only one that's not available.
Yep.
Can we shift to the 25th?
Let's push it out there. and see
Yep.
how it goes.
Okay.
What time would you like?
5:30.
5:30? 5:30?
How's it work for you?
I'm out of town.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you.
Oh.
Yeah. So like that. Well,
What
it's
do you
most
got?
important that fiscal can come.
Yes.
You can just send pictures and price tags. That's all I need.
We moved it to 5:30 so for
Got
the
the red discount
convenience of
tag
the
on it, so
audience.
that's right.
Is it really more convenient for the audience at 5:30? Carrie, you're lying, you're lying.
Whatever time you make is great for me.
Good answer. Okay.
Short walk from the office.
No,
I was gonna say, you're right.
Sound is better.
All right, so 9:25 to 5:30 PM?
Yes, thank you.
Very good.
Awesome.
And then Craig, will you be able to have both of those drawings on drive? So you
Yeah,
can
that would be
put it on.
Yeah, there you go.
Handouts, thumb drives.
Handouts,
We can
thumb
do a
drive,
big board.
yeah.
Right?
Big board.
We were guessing.
Yeah, and if we can have them before, Karen can print them out and have extras.
We didn't have a plan to put it up there.
We already have to get them to you this week.
Okay. And then
Yeah, we could.
you'll give the information to fiscal.
That would have been just like, forget about that.
And Craig, don't have fiscal run the numbers yet, because I want to see about the debts, or the capital reserve.
I'll let you pull that trigger. I'll give you everything you need.
Yeah.
I'll copy John.
Yeah.
And you won't do anything to it.
Okay.
Beautiful.